All right. So tonight, I want to talk about faith. And we've been talking about faith every Sunday as it relates to the Christmas story. If you haven't been with us, you can go back and you can watch what we've been talking about. And I'll try to keep it really short. So think about that little baby again, little baby Jesus. There is no way to respond to him other than faith. It doesn't matter if you were alive when Jesus was born or you're alive today. We each have a choice of whether we're going to respond to him in faith. And in the Christmas story, there's so many examples of faith where people chose what God said as being true, even though it didn't make sense, even though it insulted their intelligence, even though it just seemed illogical, even though it was inconvenient. It wasn't even what they thought would happen, and yet people were willing to choose what God said over what they thought or felt or experienced or hoped God would do. And tonight I want to talk about two different ways, the simple and the wise. We heard the story, if you were listening in between the songs, of the shepherds. And here are these shepherds that are out in the middle of nowhere doing the thing that shepherds do, being by themselves in the wilderness with sheep. And in the midst of being in the wilderness with sheep, minding their own business, so to speak, probably doing whatever kinds of things normal things are for shepherds, which I don't know, I'm not a shepherd. The Bible describes that the whole sky was illuminated because of the angels that showed up and started telling them the good news of Jesus, that Jesus was born. And these men listened. These men actually listened, and these angels said to them, a Savior has been born to you, and they told the shepherds exactly where the Savior of the world has been born. And the shepherds listened to all this, they saw all of it, and do you know what they did? They obeyed. They actually believed. And they stopped what they were doing and went and listened to the angels and went and tried to find the Savior, and they found him. And they went and worshiped him. We were talking about in Sunday school last week, I don't even know what the right equivalent is. Like, shepherds weren't exactly thought of as like doctors in their day. They weren't rocket scientists. That's not how people thought of them. It'd be like almost like if there's a group of trash collectors along the highway. Like, we're talking about like that kind of thought. Shepherds were actually looked down upon by some of the people that they lived with. And yet, the Lord of all creation decided to tell these men that his son was born. He could have picked anyone, and he picked the shepherds. And the shepherds didn't go, well, doesn't make a lot of sense, or, well, do you know the scriptures? Should we do this? Should we do that? They just said, we just saw a whole bunch of angels. We're going to go find out if this is true. And these simple men listened and obeyed. And for all of eternity, they are now a witness to what faith looks like in response to Jesus. There's this other group of people too that responded to Jesus. And it's in Matthew 3. And it says, Matthew 2, I'm sorry. Now after Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea, in the days of Herod the king, behold, wise men from the east, and also Jerusalem, I cannot even read that, saying, where is he who has been born King of the Jews? For we saw his star when it rose and have come to worship him. When Herod the king heard this, he became troubled, and all of Jerusalem with him. And assembling all the chief priests and scribes of the people, he inquired of them where the Christ was to be born. They told him, in Bethlehem of Judea, for so it is written by the prophet, and you, O Bethlehem, and the land of Judah, are by no means least among the rulers of Judah. For from you shall come a ruler who will shepherd my people Israel. Then Herod summoned the wise men secretly and ascertained from them when the star had appeared. And he sent them to Bethlehem, saying, go and search diligently for the child, and when you have found him, bring me word, that I too may come and worship him. After listening to the king, they went on their way, and behold, the star that they had seen when it rose went before them until it came to rest over the place where the child was. When they saw the star, they rejoiced exceedingly with great joy. And going into the house, they saw the child with Mary his mother, and they fell down and worshipped him. Then opening their treasures, they offered him gifts, gold and frankincense and myrrh. And being warned in a dream not to return to Herod, they departed to their own country by another way. So on the one hand, we have these shepherds that were probably workers, probably simple men. Didn't probably think very deeply about astrophysics or the ways in which the stars aligned in the skies and how to interpret prophecies and scriptures from various cultures. And then we have these wise men who spent all their time doing those things. And these wise men literally studied and they were pursuing God. And when they saw this star in the sky, no one told them they had to go. They didn't hear a voice from heaven that we know of. No choir of angel appeared to them. No angel appeared in a dream to them. And yet each one of them started to pursue the Lord of life because of the star and their understanding of what that star meant. Each one of these men carried with him gifts that were not easy to carry. I've never had a whole bunch of gold. I know that's going to surprise everyone in the room. I've never had like a box of gold. I hear it's kind of heavy. So can you imagine setting out on a journey that's years long or months long or weeks long with a box of gold or a bag of gold in addition to all the supplies you need to a place you don't know where you're going, to a situation where you're not sure what it'll look like, to find someone you're not sure if you'll be able to identify or not, and to take all these things and go knowing that it's not like you can, Google it to find out how far away you are. It doesn't say your destination is in 23 miles. And yet each one of these men went. And I love this line, or it's not a line, verse 10. When they saw the star, they rejoiced exceedingly with great joy. I don't know what it looks like to rejoice exceedingly with great joy, but I bet that's a lot of joy. All right? And so imagine these men that are all proper and sophisticated, and they got fancy clothes on, and they probably have people with them, and they're used to being revered by other people, and yet here they are because they see the star. They rejoiced with great joy. What does that mean? It probably means they didn't look very dignified. It probably means they were so excited because they believed that whatever they were pursuing, the one they were pursuing was worth it. Men that everyone else probably thought they had it all together. And these men were in pursuit of a little baby. We know from the rest of the story that this journey from when the star appeared to when they got there could have taken the wise men anywhere from a year to 2 years, a couple months to 2 years. You see, the reality of Christ is this. Every person gets a chance to choose whether they're going to respond in faith. God doesn't force any one of us. He doesn't. He doesn't force us. It doesn't matter if you're rich or you're poor. It doesn't matter if you're wise or you're simple. It doesn't matter if you're female or male. It doesn't matter if you're young or old. It doesn't matter anything to do with your person. All that matters is, are you willing to trust Jesus? Isn't that so exciting that it's the same for all of us? Isn't it so exciting that the wise man doesn't have an advantage over the simple man? Or the young person doesn't have an advantage over the old person? To me, that's so exciting. So this Christmas, right now, tonight, tomorrow, as you move forward, because Christmas is not one day of the year, it's all the time. The question is, are you actually responding to Jesus in faith every day because you're convinced he's worth it?